Yep.
Yo, guys,
Oh my
James from the Bolt Bros here. Hey, we are going live talking about the Niners Chargers pregame show. So we're going to get in and talk about just some of the players and that we should watch. And let's just go ahead and get into it, boys.
Let's go.
I'm Dale Henley. You watching the Bolt Bros podcast? Let's do it!
Yo.
Alrighty, folks. Okay. We are doing it live.
Doing it live. Can't wait to be able to get this week 3 or game 3 preseason game done. And so we can be into week 1 for the season. So
super excited.
Wanted to be able to just do a quick announcement too. We got some slides here that we want to show you, but it's a quick announcement about an event that's actually happening. It's going to be.
Oh no, let's save that for the end, James. Let's save that for the end.
Oh, I was going to say at the beginning, just so we can get it to everybody, but that's okay. Yep. I guess we'll talk about it at the end.
Save it at the end. Yes, let's save it at the end.
Okay, all right, let's do it. So let's just get into the slides and let's talk about players that we should focus on here.
100%, guys. What we're going to try and do is actually go through our slides real quick and then start talking about your questions. So throw your questions out as we're going. We're just going to go through our slides really fast. Players we wanted to talk about because we were going to do a separate video just talking about it, but we would rather do it on our live and have a discussion with you folks. So, and throw your breaking news out on NFL Network, their Aether as well too. So let's talk about one guy right here, Easton Stick. Was a bit lackluster last week, as we know. So pretty interesting. So let's go Bolts, San Francisco Niners. Let's go. So Easton Stick, a little bit lackluster, but I think the Chargers want to see what he can do. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. So interesting thoughts are. What are your thoughts, James?
I mean, the whole thing about it is like, is he going to need more field time? I mean, and personally, if you look at last week, yeah, he probably needs more field time because, I mean, he doesn't really have a whole heck of a lot of field time in his career. And he's going to be our QB too. So it'll be interesting to see how much field time he does have in this game and hopefully find consistency in this game too. And that's been my worries with Easton Stick for a while.
Yeah, 100%. And it's tough because he tends to be a bit inconsistent. His legs work, right? But he didn't really do any. Now, I will say this. In Easton Stick's defense, Brandon Staley was very clear that some of the protection wasn't great, which they only gave up 3 sacks total in the entire game. And by the way, just so you know, we were up against the ones for the Saints for most of the game. Like Easton Stick was against the ones on the defensive side of the ball. But secondarily, Brandon Staley specifically said that a lot of the route running and passing from the wide receiver 2s and 3s were not great. They were not crisp. So, and it would be good. So yes, interesting conversation there for sure.
Absolutely. We just need to see consistency. Heavy Chevy guy basically says he just wants to see more sense of urgency from Stick tonight. Feeling good about this matchup. You know, that's what you want to see. And that's what we got to see from him today. And that once again, going to this slide, Max Duggan, is he going to be on field?
The guy.
Is he even going to get any time on field? I mean, Brandon Staley kind of pretty much said, hey, look, Easton just got to get enough field time. Is Max going to get any time at all? Who knows? I mean, my opinion, what's going to happen, Easton Stick's probably going to play for the first 3 quarters. Max will probably get the 4th quarter. That's my opinion. My opinion, what's going to happen. And they probably want to end it on a good note. If Easton Stick says he looks great for the first half, okay, cool. If he looks great for first half, maybe they'll put in Max for the second half. So
good to see you, Bert. Yep.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. What up, Bert?
What up, Bert? No, and guys, this is an opportunity for the rookies to show what they can do, right? This is an opportunity for them to show they belong in the NFL, right? Brandon Staley's been very clear. One thing Tom Telesco did say, I think a week ago in one of his interviews, I can't remember where the interview was. He goes, look, make no mistake, folks, there are players on other teams that probably fit our team better. So we let them go. They get scooped up by some other team. We could go poach from other teams. You got to remember, we set our 53-man roster. We set our practice squad. Those players become completely available to just grab. So we might snatch another quarterback up. Maybe they get released. We don't like Duggan. Let Duggan go. who knows what's going to happen, folks? I mean, anything can happen at this moment, right? So it's an interesting discussion. So that'll be something we'll be watching for sure. These two guys right here, folks, Hightower and Keelan Doss.
Yeah.
Oh, and guys, what do you think? I know we talked about this. Watch the interview that James and I did with Asante Samuel. Do you want to see starters play? Right? Because it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I wouldn't imagine it happens. I know Aether made a joke that, that Herbert's going to play in the chat, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, right? We might see maybe, Jamari. We might see Zion Johnson. Those are probably the only two, but they only had a few snaps and then they were out. So, Aether says no, right? I personally don't want to see them play at all, but I understand the argument having him out there. But Keelan Doss and Hightower, these two guys are on the bubble. What do you guys think? Do you think Doss and Hightower? Who do you pick? I mean, right now I would say Keelan Doss is probably the guy. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Keelan Doss actually seems like he's doing a lot better route running wise, getting catches and everything too. John Hightower has the ability for downfield stretching, be that speedy guy for us. But, I really don't know. I mean, I would probably say, yeah, I would agree with you. Keelan Doss has probably got the upper hand at this moment.
Yeah,
this is going to be a big game for both of these guys. I mean, there is a good chance that there's a wide receiver 6 position available. I think it is, because Guyton probably end up being on the pup. And if for the most part, we have our wide receivers set. So there might be that back end position for wide receiver 6. So we'll see. I mean, special teams makes a big difference too, guys.
It does. Yeah. And if they perform in special teams, that'll be huge. And folks, that's a big part of what's happening here. And this is the argument why we don't want to start, any starters, right? What's the point?
Yeah.
They know what they have there. They're trying to figure out what they got with Doss and Hightower. Are they going to ball out? What are they going to do?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. This guy right here.
Yeah.
Elijah Dotson. Again, we haven't seen much of our boy, oh my gosh, what's the other running back's name? That's undrafted free.
Tyler Huseman?
Yeah, Huseman. Yeah. I kept thinking Herbert for some reason. I'm like, I know it's not Herbert, right?
Got 2 Herberts on the team now. All of a sudden.
But okay, but here's my point, right? Like you look at Dotson's got to show something. He had some drop passes last week. And again, I think he's going to be on special teams. Are we going to carry 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers? That's 10 spots right there, folks. That's 10 spots.
Yeah,
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. Like, I mean, with Elijah Dotson, I mean, obviously we all hang our hat on that Rams game and just see what he did in that Rams game, and everybody's like, "Wow, this guy is going to be awesome." Now, once again, that was against the Rams. Saints probably have one of the top defenses in the league, in my opinion. Very well coached defense over there. Big difference all around, guys. So we'll see what Elijah Dotson does. And, it kind of reminds me a little bit. Once again, he's from Northern Colorado. Eckler was from Eastern Colorado. Eckler made the team in the last preseason game. We'll see if we get another Colorado guy that finds a way to get on the squad in some level. And maybe we lightning strikes twice for us, pretty much. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a lot of snaps there, GOTR, man. I really agree with you on that for sure. And again, guys, throw your questions out, okay? Throw your questions out. We're going to get to them. Get to your statements as well, too. So throw your questions out. We'll get to them. So we're going to go through our slide first, and then we'll start talking about your questions. We'll start answering your questions as we go. This guy right here, Foster. Foster Sorrell. I kept thinking Morrell for some reason. He's a defensive lineman. I always think Foster Morrell. Yeah, Foster Sorrell. Do you know he was the number 1 recruit out of high school?
Yeah,
the number 1 recruit. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was slated to be like a first-round pick, I believe, too.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's wild to be able to see kind of where he's came from. And I mean, obviously, a lot of people have kind of thrown out a little bit of concerns about our O-line and depth and everything, too.
Yep.
And, Foster obviously had some games played in some games for us last year. One actually, ironically, against the Niners last year. Didn't do too bad at all. And he's been working out with the O-line squad. And so it's going to be fun to be able to watch him a little bit more and see where he ends up going.
Yep. Foster Sorrell. And the other guy I would suggest also is Zach Bailey.
Yes.
Zach Bailey's another guy that has done very well. His PFF grades have kind of moved up quite a bit. So those are 2 guys I'm going to be watching, right? They need to have good games, to get in that depth piece make that 53-man roster. So I'm kind of excited to see what they can do.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's even kind of crazy. I don't believe you added this, but Jordan McFadden last week had a phenomenal game, by the way.
He had a great game.
42 pass rushes, gave up no pressures at all. So it's very cool to be able to see that. Once again, do we get another guy in the draft, Jamari Sawyer, once again, another guy that just becomes a late round guy that ends up becoming a starter for us, or ends up, just being great depth for us all around. So who knows what's really going to happen with this O-line, but I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this O-line, in my opinion.
Another guy I'm feeling comfortable with is this guy, Stone Smart. Everyone is hyped on him. Folks, Trey McKitty's not looked great. His blocking has been good. His blocking has been good. But, man, apparently, I was watching Chargers Weekly. They talked, Matt Money Smith talked about it. I guess he was open quite a bit, and Stick did not get him the ball at all. So he seems clearly upset that, he's been a little bit overlooked. But Stone Smart, interesting story with this guy. He was a quarterback. Now he's a tight end, and he's looking good out there. So, and Robert, yeah, pretty interesting. Could be the case. Stone Smart's looking really, really good. So, again, guys, keep throwing your questions out. We are going to get to them as well here in about 10, 15 minutes. We just want to get through our slides, offensively, defensively, and go from there. So, what are your thoughts on Stone Smart?
Crazy thing about Stone Smart, he's a converted quarterback to a tight end, and he's looking really good as a tight end. I mean, the thing about it is that Campenmoyer is the guy that basically he's going to be battling against at this point, unless they're going to say, like, if McKinney's not really going to be working out, would he end up getting cut? I don't think that's going to happen. But at the same side, Stone Smart has actually looked really, really good. I mean, that could be another one of those gems that were just developed and be able to bring out another guy just to add more depth to this tight end. Kellen Moore likes tight ends in his schemes too, by the way. He does 2 tight end sets all the time, and he utilizes them in a lot of different ways. And so I think it'll be interesting. And once again, Carlos is saying Smart over McKitty. I ain't mad at that. Like,
I'm mad at that either.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, we'll see really what happens in what I think McKitty's in his 3rd year, I want to say. Is it 2nd or 3rd? Yep. So they got to see a lot out of him. They got to see something out of that guy. And once again, if McKitty was open and everything too, best believe Justin Herbert would be able to see him. But, on field and in practice and everything too, and in seeing in real game situations right now, man, Smart's looking good. Smart's looking good.
Yeah. And bottom line, I do think that it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Are we going to carry 4 tight ends? I think so. But you never know. And Parham, man, he did not look good. He had really bad PFF grades. He had hit up some major drops, major drops. And you're like, bro, like, you cannot do that. And he knows that. He knows that, right? But if he would have caught that one ball that Easton Stick threw at him, he would have, crawled in, or tiptoed into the end zone, right? And it's like, oh my God, dude.
Well, based upon his height, right. He could have. Based upon his height, he could have probably just reached his hands out and he would have probably ended up getting a touchdown. So,
exactly. Problem. Well, okay. And so, by the way, again, this is the final shot for these players to do it. And again, it's not for folks, just remember this. This is not just for Chargers. It's for them to show the NFL that they deserve a spot in the NFL. Other teams are looking at, Tom Telus was very clear. Their scouts are now looking at every single player on other teams. I like this guy. This guy might be better than Trey McKitty. We just got done talking about Trey McKitty. Let's go after this guy. He's a better blocker. Oh, he got released. Great. Let's go scoop him up. So these are the conversations that are had. So why don't we switch to defense real quick? And then I know we only got a few slides on defense. Defense is pretty set at this moment, but there's some interesting people we want to talk about. And also, folks, again, keep throwing your questions out. We're just going to go through these slides. We got one announcement, and then we're just going to go to all your questions moving forward. Okay. Let's talk about this man right here. CJ Okoye. How you say it right? Did I say that right?
CJ Okoye.
You know more about him than I do. So why don't you give us your thoughts about him as well too, and keep throwing your questions out, folks, for sure.
Yeah, I was reading an article a little bit about him and how he's been playing just in training camp, and obviously even you see game time situations.
Yeah,
people don't even realize this is going to be his 3rd game ever playing.
3rd game ever.
He doesn't look like he's only played this game now. 3rd game going in against the Niners. The guy is going to be on this team regardless, based upon the international program, NFL program. He's basically already locked in as a slot on the practice squad, regardless. Correct. So he's on this team and he's going to be developing quite a bit. But at his point right this second, he's developing, looking like a potential guy that could really show up for this team. I mean, he is doing a great job. And mind you, once again, he's a massive dude. He's a massive dude.
350.
I mean,
yeah.
How are you going to move that guy around? I wasn't he 6'7" or something like that, or 6'8" or something like that. Like,
he's crazy.
Just a big dude. And like, he's doing a great job of being able to get to the ball, get after the player with the rock. And I mean, all around, it's awesome to see this guy. This is definitely the success story for this training camp thus far, in my opinion.
Well,
so
even in
I'm
the NFL, right? I
what
mean,
he
think
can do
about
this
that.
year,
It's a big international thing, right? It's huge. So
Yeah.
it's gigantic. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to be big.
Yep. Looking forward to see him go.
Yeah, we got our boy Webb here. So
Yep.
Webb has looked good, folks, but the guy can never stay healthy. And that is the big argument with this guy. Every single year, something seems to pop up with him and he starts really looking good and then just gets hurt. Looking good and then just gets hurt. Looking good and then just gets hurt, right? So I'm excited to see what this guy can do. I like him. I think he's looked great out there, but dude, if the guy can stay healthy, I don't know. We'll be watching. This is a big game for him specifically, right?
It's big because, I mean, we really have to think who are the two guys behind Derwin James and Alohi.
Yep.
And obviously Alohi, he's got that contusion on his knee or whatnot. Obviously, we'll see where that leads. I'm assuming he's going to be fine for week 1, but we're going to have to know who the two guys are behind them. Obviously, you got Derwin James, you got Alohi, JT Woods, who's been looking way better than last year, in my opinion, looking a lot more comfortable all around. But who's that fourth guy for us? Is it going to be Mark Webb, who has been with Brandon Staley's defense since he came into the league?
Yeah.
It's just, once again, health is the issue. Health has been the issue with him. So got to keep an eye on Mark Webb here. And hopefully he does some impact plays to really just solidify his position on this team.
It's kind of like that old statement, right? Can't make the club in the tub. Remember
That's
that?
Right. Exactly.
Can't make the club in the tub. And look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, folks, right? I mean, say what you want to say, right? But if you're not out there playing, you're not out there, it's a physical sport, right? There are people that are injury prone. It's tough.
Yep.
Sherry, good to see you. Good to see you. Go Chargers.
Sherry.
Yeah. And again, folks, keep throwing your questions out as well. We are going to get to all your questions. We just want to go through a few more slides, have one announcement, and then we'll go from there. Okay, guys? So next slide, this guy right here, Andrew Farmer. The other guy I would also say is Brevin Allen, our two defensive ends.
Yeah.
Andrew Farmer, I believe, went to Lane College in Tennessee, and then Brevin Allen was Campbell College, right? The Campbells.
Yeah.
Campbell's.
Campbell Soup College.
Campbell Soup College, right? So, but this guy's looking good, dude. Brevin Allen's looking good. And folks, I talked about them as our undrafted free agents. These are my two sleepers, and they are looking very, very good. Now, here's what sucks. You ask yourself this question. They've shown enough that I think a lot of teams that are not deep at all will go after them. Yep. What do? Do you put them on our team as practice squad guys or not practice, special team folks? I mean, who knows? It's going to be tough. If you put them on the practice squad, you don't know, man. There might be a couple teams out there like the Texans or whoever, they don't have a lot of, depth that could step up and say, well, we want this guy. And I don't know. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, James, it's interesting because and just to even say that type of, conversation, we could put 16 players on our practice squad and we kind of need to figure that out. Obviously we got some wide receivers that are pretty deep on our team. You got teams like the Broncos right now that are struggling to get wide receivers. They're looking at like, say, John Hightower, Keelan Doss or whatnot. They even picked up our guy, Michael Bandy already over there. So they're struggling. So once again, these are guys that everybody is looking at. And once again, this is all just one big, resume builder for these players. They show out, they'll find a way on some NFL squad. And, I'm interested to see how these guys go, and I'm interested to see how long that they do play in this game. And obviously, we got to see some impact plays from them too. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing these guys play.
Yeah, very interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, right? And again, like we need depth. We got Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. We all know they're getting older, and they are getting very expensive. So We'll have to see how this plays out. Is this true, Carlos? Or you just trolling? Stop trolling, Carlos. If this is what this is. So if anybody knows what it is or not. I mean, I was going to try and check it out here for a second, but yeah, I kind of have
I don't see anything there yet.
I don't see why the Cowboys would trade for Trey Lance, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me though. Okay. Okay. So we only got a couple more slides left. So let's go through this real quick. And then we will actually, I think this is the final slide. Raheem Lane, folks. Raheem Lane. It's real. Okay. Can you throw something in the chat? I'd like to see a link. Throw something in the chat if you can. That'd be great. I'd just be curious to take a look at that real quick. But Raheem Lane has looked very good in camp as well. Again, I think he'll probably get a practice or a special team spot for sure. But I think he's probably going to be, fourth, on the depth chart, at safety. But he's looked really good, man. Raheem Lane has looked awesome. And he doesn't have health issues. So what are your thoughts, sir, James?
Yeah. I mean, once again, this goes back to the Mark Webb thing. We got to find that fourth guy. I mean, are we going to carry 5 safeties? Probably not, in my opinion, but who knows? I mean, once again, we have those slots in practice squads. And I think the thing that Raheem Lane has done has shown that he can be that impact player for depth purposes. So, Mark Webb and Raheem Lane, in my opinion, are the 2 guys that they just got to figure out who's going to take the 53-man slot more or less for us. So we will see.
Okay. I am seeing this. Adam Scheffler, Ian Rappaport, and all of them say they're trading to the Niners, Trey Lance for a mid-round pick. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting, folks. Breaking news, folks. You heard it here, Bolt Bros.
Wow.
See, we got the best people. We got the best people on here.
We got the best people. They're looking out for us.
They're looking out for us. I appreciate that, folks. I really do. I do appreciate that. That.
It's crazy because I was just on another CG Ruthless Talk, which is a Niners podcast, just talking about the game the other day. And I asked him a little bit about that. And he said, I don't believe they're going to keep him. They're going to trade him. And I was like, man, it's crazy because you gave up so much to have him on this team, by the way. And so, if they're just getting a mid-round pick out of it when they gave up multiple picks, that's cut bait. I guess Sam Darnold's got that QB too, and I think they're feeling fine with Brock Purdy. So, wow, that would be insane.
Well, and again, why would you keep him, right? He's going to be dead weight. He's going to just complain about not playing all the above. So you may as well move him, right? Get something out of him. Yeah. So, okay. So this is the announcement. I felt like it would be better to do it now at the end as we've gotten a little into the conversation and have more people here as well too. So this is the Bolt Show, public signing players, Tito Obonya, Corey Legit, Isaiah Spiller. This is all done with, what was his name again? I always forget this guy. So K-Rod. Yeah, K-Rod.
Yeah, it's rock solid sports memorabilia with J-Rock. And so, so you got a Tito, Keenan, Corey Legit, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston. You got Max Dugan, Isaiah Spiller. You even got Asante Samuel Jr. going to be there too.
Sick.
Darren Sproles, Eric Kendricks, Tuli Tuipulotu will be there too. So this is one of the biggest showings of Charger players at one signing point. So very, very cool to be able to see this, guys. And once again, this is next Saturday, I believe, at the Anaheim Marriott Suites in Garden Grove. So once again, guys, you should go out there, and they have all the dates there accordingly, times that the players will be there for the signings. Really cool event. So if you want cards, signed jerseys, whatever it is that you want to get signed, they will sign it there for you. So it'll be real cool, and you get photos with the players and everything too, and chat with them. So, and I believe Kyle was talking about being there too, and possibly interviewing a little bit with the players there too. So he'll kind of be there to be able to just look over the event and have a good time.
Yeah, and if you're nice to Kyle, maybe he'll give you a signature as well too.
There you go. Probably, I don't know if it's worth too much money for our signatures, but hey,
hey, come on, we're mild celebrities. What are you talking about?
Yeah, hey, celebrities, right? Like not B level celebrities, maybe a C level celebrity. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. This is one last thing here too, folks. These guys right here, Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow, they retired the numbers this week as well. I thought that was pretty cool. Just wanted to give a shout out to some of the old folks that made this team what they are. Anyways, so 18 and number 80 are retired numbers. Okay.
They will actually be doing the ceremony on week 1 during the Dolphins.
Okay,
So
we'll be there.
we
We'll
will
be
be
there.
there at that game. So very cool to be able to see that. It's cool to be able to see that the Chargers are really even pulling out some of the San Diego Chargers history and pulling it into the LA Chargers history. I know with Antonio Gates, his number will be retired too. I don't know how many numbers we could keep retiring here because we need players on this team, by the way. And we're going to run out of numbers. So very cool, man.
Either way, it'll be interesting to see, right? Maybe they'll go like 80 and then a dot. So you can use the number 80, but a dot, 80 dot and like a 1 or like 80.2, what, I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe. I don't know. But too many players keep getting their numbers retired. But either which way, it's great to be able to respect the past. I did a whole video on Antonio Gates earlier this week, just talking a little bit about the history of him and him going into the Chargers Hall of Fame too. So once again, very cool to be able to see that.
Okay. So now we're going to go to the question portion of the, we just showed a couple statements, but again, smash that like and subscribe, folks. So let's go through some of these questions. Okay. I think that's pretty hilarious. All right. So this is good. This is a good thought. I know Heavy Chevy, we did talk a little bit about this. I hope he does. I think we need Easton Stick to have some confidence going into the season, right? Yeah. Clearly Dugan isn't really showing a whole lot. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we have to see confidence. We have to see consistency from him.
Yep.
Preseasons that I've seen him play, he always just kind of is a little inconsistent with what he's doing. Now, we saw a good Easton Stick on week 1. Then we saw a little bit more bad Easton Stick week 2. The thing about it is he just needs to be confident with reading where the player's at and make a decision quick.
Right.
And I was timing him a lot on his passes, and he was getting more than 3 seconds, about 3.5 seconds, give or take, to be able to make a decision, and he just wasn't making decisions. So,
and that's not a good thing.
Nope.
And Carlos, this is a good point. This is where the players have to ball out. If they don't, they will get cut, and that is the truth, folks. Right? They want to make. Well, again, it's not just this team. Again, Tom Telesco talked about this. We are looking at everybody else's team. There might be better players out there. So let's go see what happens. I'm really curious to see how much Davis is going to play. I think Dotson will play. I don't even know how much Henley will play. Of course, Blake Lynch is hurt. And I'm not sure the whole situation with him specifically. Yeah. I was trying to find some of that earlier and I didn't see a whole lot, but it'll be interesting.
It's probably a soft tissue issue, just like last year. Soft tissue issue, everything.
Hey, he's a poet. He doesn't even know it. Soft tissue issue. Soft tissue issue. Look, I do want to see Dugan get some field time. I would say that. Again, throw your questions out as well, folks. And again, it'll be interesting to see. Now we don't have Trey Lance out there. At least I wouldn't assume he'd be out there. So, yeah.
Well, is it going to be Brock Purdy? Is Brock Purdy going to be out there? Is Sam Darnold going to be out there? I don't know who the 4th quarterback is for the Niners, but I guess in a sense you do want to see Brock Purdy out there because you want to just see if that elbow is really going to hold up.
Yeah, he's already played a little bit, so I suspect they probably won't play him much at all. There's been some jokes, Bert, about Chargers picking up Jonathan Taylor. Sounds like he might go to the Dolphins, is from what I could tell. But I was thinking about doing a video on that. Maybe trade Austin Eckler. I don't know. I don't know that'll happen. Be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that's kind of interesting. Yeah, and again, let's see. So let's see. Where's another question here? Oh, this is funny. I like this, Eddie. This is funny. I had a dream last night that the Bulls traded for Budda Baker. Bro, dude, Budda Baker is a straight up savage. But I'll tell you right now, dude, look, Gilman's looked good, and JT Woods has looked fantastic, folks. So I'm not too concerned. I was concerned at the beginning of the season. I know Aether and we always kind of went back and forth on that, but he's looking good, dude. So I don't know that we need anybody else.
Man, and so there was an interview I watched. It was Bussin' with the Boys, and
you watched that? Yeah,
it was with Derwin James. Devin, I don't know where I get that name from. He talked about Budda Baker, just putting him in that same elite level of like where Derwin James is at.
Yeah,
just hard hitter, safety based guys. And the thing about it is, I'm in Arizona, so I get all these like Cardinals updates all the time. And they got rid of Isaiah Simmons for a 7th round pick. They traded off another guy from the 2020 draft and O-line for 7th, or I think it was a 7th or a 5th or something round pick or something. They're kind of fire sailing that team right now. I don't know really what's going on there. And I know Budda did ask for a trade earlier in the season. So
yeah, he did. Yeah,
I mean, if they pick up the salary, we'll take, Buda Baker for a 5th round pick. Let's go. Let's go.
Dude, okay, so this is a great question from Aether. Yeah, look, okay, me and James talked about this. Tito and Austin start on the pup list, which I do think could happen, folks. You got to remember, we got SJD. Nick Williams is looking very good. Brandon Staley's very high on Nick Williams. Matlock is looking freaking nasty, dude.
Really good.
So, so no matter what, he is going to be in the rotation. Okay, he's making the 53-man roster, and he's going to be in the rotation. So, the one guy I was thinking about, I was going to put a slide up, is Gerard Clark.
Yeah.
Gerard Clark, I think he's probably the last defensive lineman we take. And I tell you why. He's so freaking big. If you recall, I did a video on him, and I think he dropped down the way he went undrafted because I think he showed up heavier than what I think people really thought he was going to be. He's 350, maybe 360. That guy's a
big dude.
Tub of goo, dude. He's
button
big.
Gut. Button gut.
Yeah, he's button gut, dude. But the Chargers don't have quite a guy like that can just really, demand a double team all the time, right? And I think that's a nice thing about him. So I would say Gerard Clark is the other guy. Matlock, I think, is a lock, but I think Gerard Clark might be the I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, James?
Yeah, I mean, I brought up when I talked with Aether about it too. I said something about, what about David Moa? Moa's been out there quite a bit with Matlock too. Is Moa going to find a way on the squad? I mean, once again, he was a last year late kind of pickup for us. And to be honest, when he's playing next to Matlock, I think he looks pretty good all around. Yeah. And so I like seeing that we're getting a good depth at the D line. And once again, going back to that Asante Samuel Jr. Interview that we did earlier this week, he talked about that. He said, one thing about the D line, they look like they're really doing a great job right now. And they really are going to make this team a little bit better all around, hopefully against the run. And so guys up front will basically make the guys in the back of the defense's jobs easier. Get more picks, bat more passes down, find pressure, make them make mistakes.
Well, not only that, on top of that, when SJD said that they're connected, right? They're communicating correctly, right? Eric Kendricks was a good part of that. Deion Henley. Look, I actually think Deion Henley is going to step in over Kenneth Murray at some point this season. He's looking spectacular. Anyways, we can talk about that forever. But again, we're geeking out on some of these players. Stone Smart, another guy. I think he's for real. You're right. I think he's very much for real. I think he makes the squad. He's that good. And again, remember, he was a converted quarterback. We'll go from there. Can't wait for the game. Yeah, we're going to be watching it. We're going to be watching it. Yeah, by the way, Xander, where the hell's Xander been? It's interesting. Yeah. I'm a little frustrated we haven't seen much of him. I don't know. You had some thoughts on that, right, James?
Yeah, first game, he only had like 8 snaps, I believe. In second game, it seemed like he was just kind of later in the game that he showed up. But if you watch special teams and gunners getting to their punt returners or whatnot, he's usually right in that mix. So that's where I generally see number 40 out there quite a bit. Now, once again, I think that's kind of even in going back on CG Ruthless, I think that is one of those guys that potentially could get cut. And it sucks because special teams is very, very big part of this team. But at the same side, we got J.K. Scott, who basically could push that ball way up in the air, and not a lot of people are going to run against us. But do we really need a fullback? And a lot of teams in the NFL don't have fullbacks. So we'll see where that leads with him.
Yeah, I think they should use him more in short yardage plays, right? Just punching the ball in. Eckler won't like that, of course, but too bad, so sad. Hey, so here's the thing. Okay, Daryl Arias, what up, guys? My question is whether or not you believe we're going to address the safety position. I think the answer is no. I think we're happy with what we have. Clearly, they did go after John Johnson, which I had so many videos on. They're like, "No, we don't care." And I was just reading an article this morning about John Johnson that, like, apparently the Rams have him like second or third in the depth chart, which is really strange. So I just really think it's interesting. So
wouldn't that be crazy if it just comes back around, he gets cut, and then he finds a way to the Chargers? It's like,
he's so funny. Like, how'd this happen? Well, I mean, again, I really think that, it's, I don't know, maybe, look, Brandon Staley coached the guy, right? I mean, why didn't he go after him? It just made no sense to me. But, to Aether's point, it didn't happen. I kept thinking it was going to, and it didn't. So, Zach Bailey over Brendan Hymas. I think Zach Bailey probably is in the lead on that one. James, your thoughts on that?
Yep, absolutely. Zach Bailey's been playing really, really well. A lot of hype from him about him. He's done well at last preseason game. He did extremely well. Brandon Hymas, to me, he played center and he actually had a pretty low PFF grade. Now, if you want to put too much on PFF, sometimes those grades are a little weird and wonky. But I don't really feel like Brandon Hymas has really found his niche, and not many people are really talking too much about him. So we'll see how this game goes, but I think I don't know if Brandon Hymas is going to stick around, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably a practice squad guy. We'll see what happens, but who knows? I mean, he's been around a long time. He can't seem to find a spot for that dude, and it is what it is, right? And again, I think the O-line is in a pretty good spot. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Okay. I got eyes on the trenches, O-line, D-line. I agree. And again, we've given up under 20 points a game with the first two games, right? It'd be very interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know. I think our defensive line and our offensive line are going to look great. But again, you're only going to see most likely scrubs. You're not going to see any real ones out there for the most part. So what's the game plan attack the 49ers defense tonight? Throw the ball, run the ball. I mean, it's again, well, and the reason why I bring that up is you're not going to see any sort of exotic plays, right? It's going to be very base offense, very base defense. You're not going to see anything crazy. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, James?
I'm interested to be able to see if they're going to play a little bit more shorter base games. And reason why I'm saying that is they're going to play a little bit more curl routes, a little bit more short slants, a little bit more screen-based plays, just to get the ball in players' hands, basically. Possibly to also just get, if Easton Stick's going to start, just to be able to give him a rhythm of the game. Maybe they're trying to press him a little bit more to be a little bit more downfield of a passer, which I can't think of many downfield passes that he's completed, but just find a rhythm for Easton Stick. So my opinion is they're going to play a lot of short base passes today just to be able to give guys opportunities. It's going back to like the end of the year when a player needs 5 catches to be able to get a little $500,000 bonus or whatnot. Give the ball to that guy so he gets those 5 catches so he can make that bonus kind of thing. So I think that's probably with the game plan, in my opinion.
Well, and I think Brandon Staley was obviously very upset after that last game. He was not happy. I wasn't happy either. I mean, I really wanted to see Easton Stick step up because we'd like to know that there's some sort of depth at the quarterback position beyond Justin Herbert. And I think everyone was like, wow, Easton Stick kind of sucks. We're frustrated, right? And dude, he gave up the ball 3 times, fumbled it, and then threw the worst interception I'd seen in a long time. And I mean, threw the ball right to the defender. So not good.
The crazy part of it is that even with 3 turnovers, we had a chance to win that game. Still
100%.
Like we had the ability, we were driving downfield. Tywan Mullen, who's another guy they should keep an eye on too, who Asante actually pointed out. He had a pick to be able to give us a much shorter field. I think it was maybe the 25-yard line.
Yep.
Very, very close. It would have been amazing to be able to see that. But even with those 3 turnovers, he still found a way to battle back. So if you're going to say, hey, look, like to be super critical on him, I mean, he still found a way to be able to at least be
correct,
somewhat competitive, even after 3 turnovers.
Now, I'd also say this too. This is going to go into actually. Let's answer this question, and I think I'll go into Heavy Chevy's thoughts here. It looks like the player is going to be not opening day is Tito Obonia. You're right. He does not look like he'll be available. Jalen Guyton most likely would not be available. I did a video on him, very short video, just updating you guys. Miller talked about him working. I guess he did some very light work the last day of training camp. My suspicion, he'll probably be out after the bye week 5. So maybe week 6, he'll be available. So we'll see. This is good. James, what are your thoughts on this Heavy Chevy guy? And this goes back into what we were talking about with Easton Stick.
So he says, what are your guys' takeaway on Kellen Moore's play calling so far? Anything you don't like? I mean, like what I just said, I was kind of saying, I think they just need to find a rhythm this game. This is a rhythm-based game, in my opinion. They got to be able to give Easton Stick confidence that he could move this offense down. Now, once again, week 1, I think he did a great job, especially on the 2-minute warning type situation before the half. I think he played phenomenal during that time. I do think that Kellen Moore is doing play calls for Easton Stick, not for Justin Herbert. So it's 2 different offenses, in my opinion. It's going back to Dak Prescott has a different set of skills versus Cooper Rush. I got a little dyslexia there. I think that he basically just creates an offense specifically for that quarterback. And so personally, right, in my opinion, I think he's doing fine right now. We'll see what happens when Justin Herbert's on the field. It's a different game with him. So based upon what they're giving Easton Stick, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and GTR man talks about CJ. He's big, dude. And again, I think the man could be huge. Again, Matt Locke looking very good. Eddie, next Jamal Williams, Okoye is special. And look, H4 Webb, again, the thing about Webb, I truly believe it's hard in the NFL, right? It's a very physical sport and injuries start piling up on each other. And I think that's partially why most teams are so adverse to actually getting a person a contract when they've had injuries, because typically you have an injury, you get more injuries, and it just kind of gets worse, right? So, okay, this is a good question here from Goomba. You want to take that, James?
Yeah, if we go deep this year, do we look at Rivers as an emergency cord like the 49ers? I'm fine with sticking Dugan in the regular form, regular for a game or two, but that's it. That would be, man. I chatted about that actually on that podcast with CJ Ruthless, and how cool it would have been to see Phillip Rivers just come off the couch straight to the Super Bowl and play against the Chiefs and have his last revenge game. How about that? How cool would that have been? But, I don't know. If Phillip Rivers, who knows? I mean, I don't even want to talk about that, because that means that if Phillip Rivers is a revenge guy, or excuse me, an emergency guy, we got an issue at QB1. So yeah. I don't really think it's necessary unless it is really necessary. So
yeah, and I think this is good too. H4. Hopefully we keep a few defensive ends and wide receivers for next year. Cap Armageddon. I agree. Interesting thought about that, right? Herbert's contract is very player or team friendly, so they could technically try to restructure again. I mean, who knows how that plays out, right? I don't know. Clearly this team enjoys being around each other, so maybe they can move some things around, move some dollars around, and might lose. Who knows, right? Again, I'm not Tom Telesco, but we all know that there's some salary cap issues moving forward. Okay, so, and this is a good one right here too. GTR man says Farmer hasn't looked bad. Again, he was one of my guys that I really wanted us to look at. I thought he'd play more special teams. I think he is on special teams as well too, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if they had Brevin Allen and Farmer out on special teams, just to see if it makes sense to have them over maybe like an Amen Ogmemi. I can never say his last name.
Yeah, I just call him OG or OG. AG or something like that. AG or OG or something like that. I think that's what they call him. OG, I think.
Yeah, right. So again, it's interesting. This is pretty funny. Okay, so let's see. And this is kind of
one thing too. It's interesting about like the backups, and actually in training camp, they played the last training camp. Actually, they played 11-on-11 with the starters on both sides. And Brandon Staley basically said, "Hey, the reason why we did that is because we're just trying to give a breather to our 2s and 3s and potential 4s on this team, because they've didn't have a game not too long ago, and now they're playing a game on Friday, kind of thing.
Right.
So they kind of gave them a little bit of a breather. So, in my opinion, there's a time that I think that, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing some starters, but I understand the risk and the reward to both sides of it."
Yep, that's right. And this is interesting. Good point here, Aether. Dak area is coming to an end. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what happens. I mean, Trey didn't look good for the Niners. I'll tell you right now, he did not look good. I watched quite a bit of that game, and I was like, "Ew, he does not look good." So I don't know.
So scenario here: what if Cooper Rush gets let go by the Dallas Cowboys? We end up finding a way to be able to bring on Cooper Rush onto the Chargers. So that's where cuts start happening after training camp, guys, and after the third preseason game. So what if that happens now? And that, I mean, it's a seamless transition for Kellen Moore. If they don't feel good about Easton Stick, or they don't feel good about, Max, do they go after Cooper Rush?
Yeah, and that's the shift, right? So remember, guys, in the practice squad, every single team at any given point, well, there's one time per week they can go after any player on any other team. I think they can protect a certain amount of players. What is it, 4 or 5 players out of the total on the practice squad they can protect each week? So you have to designate who that is, and then teams can go after that player, right? So again, that's what's kind of nice about the NFL. You can't just hoard players, right? It's tough. You got to get your 53 man, and then you pick up, practice squad folks for depth, and that's kind of it. So, this is a good question, and maybe we should ask the chat, right? 0 reps for the offense or the ones. Again, I'm a very big believer that they don't need the reps because they get most reps in practice. I know, James, you like the idea of them getting reps in preseason games. I think Kyle does as well, too. What do you guys think in the chat? Should the ones play? What are your thoughts, James?
So it's interesting. I saw a stat that talked about starting quarterbacks that have played in preseason more than 2 games so far. And it was only 7 teams that did that. So you got to think, Anthony Richardson, you got to think Kenny Pickett, you got to think Desmond Ridder, you got to think the young guys out there generally are the ones getting, 2 games of work. Now, Asante Samuel Jr. talked about it. We asked that question with him. And, which field work do you like more, being in a preseason game, or do you like the scrimmages and being in training camp? He said any field time's a good time.
Yep.
And, you'll take anything you possibly can to be on field. And so, once again, there's ways that you could try to find an avoidance of trying to not get injured, I guess. Can I say that? I don't know.
Sure.
But I think the thing is, my opinion of it is, it's just to be able to get the jitters out a little bit, because you don't want to start out week 1 saying quarter 1, you don't even score. You look like garbage. I just feel like because you get really antsy and you get really amped up at that point. You probably threw up before the game. You want to get that jitters out in the preseason, not in the regular season. Last year, Andy Reid even pretty much said, hey, the Chargers look like a team that they actually aren't well conditioned, and they have not been, they didn't look ready, basically, going into this.
And I completely disagree, because I do think that they get enough time in practice. So, and again, James, I get it, but I just think that at the end of the day, these guys are professionals. They should be ready week 1 without being out there.
Should be,
and again, you got to also remember too, what if Herbert blows his knee out preseason game 1, right? I think that happened to, didn't that happen to Tom Brady one year?
No, maybe it was week 1.
Week 1, something like that. Yeah. So just remember, I think a lot of, I truly believe it's more a conversation around, hey, you get plenty of reps in camp, you'll be ready, right? Okay. And again, we go back forth all the time on this. So
it's all subjective on what you feels right,
So Aether, good thought here. Cowboys got to steal 49ers, only got a 4th round. Dang.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Makes sense though. Makes sense.
I remember there was cartoons last year about Trey Lance, and it was Kyle Shanahan speaking for Trey Lance. I never saw Trey Lance actually even speak at all. And so I thought that was pretty funny. I'm assuming there's probably going to be a new one of those cartoons. I think on Gridiron, whatever, Follies, or I can't remember the name of the website, but it's funny.
So by the way, you need to link up with James. He lives in Arizona. So
yep, I'm here in Mesa.
So reach out to us, okay? So we can link up. There's plenty of watch parties. Bolt Pride AZ is in the back there, so we can link you up with some local folks. Okay. This is an interesting one too, right? H4 says Woods is a liability. I disagree. He's looking absolutely fantastic right now. James, what are your thoughts?
No, I think he's looking great. He's looking more aggressive with tackling.
Yeah.
He looks like he's just understanding the defense, all in my opinion. I think he's turned a corner, in my opinion. He's seeing that Alohi got in front of him, essentially. And I think JT's got the intangibles. My concern about him was just trying to find a way to be able to be aggressive and to tackle players. And I think he's been very aggressive so far. Now, the liability that he might be talking about is the smack over the head of the player, getting fined, throwing his helmet on the ground after making 2 really good plays. Just his emotions get a little bit involved with him. So if that's the liability he's talking about, yes, I could see that. And I know if I was a coach, I would correct that for sure.
Yeah, and Brandon Staley is, right? Asante Samuel was very clear that Brandon Staley is very focused, very detailed. And, I promise you, he pulled him aside and said, hey, bud, you need to knock that out. Now, I would say this, JT Woods is probably just, if you listen to his mic'd up, he was so excited it's clicking in his head, right? You could tell he's finally going, wow, I understand what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And so I'm sure that was just more of an excitement thing. But bottom line, he needs to control his emotion. I mean, Hell, Joey Bosa does too. He threw his helmet on the ground and pretty much lost us the game. I mean, let's face it, he did, right? So he gave up 2 points. That penalty made it easy for them to go for 2 points, and we lost the game, right? So, that's his fault, and he needs to understand that. Scott W. Smart has a lot of separation routes, but he didn't get targeted. Yeah, and again, that was Easton Stick's fault, right? So I'm really curious to see if he can correct that this game. Thoughts on that, James?
No, that's it. I mean, I think Easton Stick just needs to be a little bit more reassured of his decision making and really find that right guy. I mean, there's a side to it that I feel like we're a little used to Justin Herbert be able to do multiple reads in a very short amount of time. 100%. And not all quarterbacks in the NFL are that way. So it's tough.
Yeah, and then we haven't talked about Dean Leonard. Good job, Carlos. Dean Leonard is looking really good. He should have had an interception week 1, and I think even week 2, if I remember correctly, right? Brandon Staley said there was supposed to be 5 interceptions last week that we just did not execute on, and that can't happen.
Cannot. And that's one thing I want to see in this game is an interception.
Yeah, we haven't had one yet, right? We
need to see one. We need a
free. Have we even had a turnover? I don't think we've even had a turnover yet, have we? No
fumble or anything. I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, it's crazy.
Not good.
Yeah. You want to talk about Mullins?
Yeah, Taiwan Mullen, man. He was the one that had the ability to be able to pretty much put us in a better situation last week to be able to give us a shorter field to be able to go for the win. And he dropped the interception. It's ironically, we're talking about it already. But he had a couple batted passes. He looks really good. And once again, Asante Samuel Jr. actually chatted about him, said that's one of those guys that's looking good out of Indiana. Taiwan Mullen, I think, is one guy that could find some sort of way on this team. As an undrafted guy, I'm pretty sure he's a lock on practice squad at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, he looks really good. Yeah. And I've said this before too. H4 looks amazing. Excuse me, Ryan Ficken, next head coach, looking good, dude. Like he could be a next head coach somewhere, man. I mean, he's looking amazing. Like he looked great. He did great with the Vikings, and he's looked amazing with the Chargers. He's turned he's looked amazing. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I hope he doesn't go because he's done a great job for us.
He's stabilized our special teams for once. I mean, the one thing about it is that, a lot of special teams head coach have a very hard, or special teams coaches have a hard time transitioning to head coaches. They generally don't really go after a lot of those guys and move them up to head coaches. So that's a tough one. So who knows? I mean, what was the name of that Raiders head coach that after Gruden got fired?
Oh God,
basically he jumped in.
I
thought he was a good coach.
He should have stayed.
Can't remember.
Why am I drawing a blank on his name? I literally had a conversation with somebody about it just the other day. I was like, oh my God, yeah. I can't remember.
Bisaccia.
Oh, Rich Bisaccia. There we go. Yes.
I thought he was a very good coach for them, and then they let him go, and then they ended up bringing Mick Dummy after that.
Mick Dummy.
Yeah, that's what the Broncos fans call him, Mick Dummy.
Mick Dummy. Yeah. Gerard Clark is looking amazing, guys. He's looking very, very good. I like him. I think he could be the 53rd man. He might be the one guy that does squeak in. We'll see.
Well, and the thing about it is like Austin Johnson, I heard that he was on field. I don't know how much he's been playing. I don't know if they're going to keep him on the pup. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with him, but there's a lot of depth situations that we got to figure out for that D-line, and Gerard Clark could find a way there.
Yeah, and Keely Smith talked about Denzel Mims.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You got to wonder if that guy's a head case or something. He just keeps getting released everywhere he goes. So you got to wonder, why? I don't know.
Well, it's crazy. He got released about a week ago or something. He still hasn't been picked up. Now I see him going to the Broncos, and because they have no wide receivers over there. I mean, Jerry Jeudy got a hammy that's going to be out for several weeks now.
Yep.
They've already had guys blow out their knees. Pretty much that team is getting decimated with wide receivers. So keep an eye out for Denzel Mims getting at least a workout with the Broncos.
Yeah. And Sherry, good point, right? Sia Jokoye, you put him in the practice squad, someone take him. I can't remember.
I think it locks them in though. He's like a protected player at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of the international program, he is there, I believe, with us for a year. It's like a contract type of thing. Yeah. So very interesting to see how it plays out with him as well. Anyways, yeah, it could be interesting. All right, let's see if we got some more questions here as well. Oh, wait, are we really down 7.5 on this game tonight? Wow. God, I hope not. Well, I mean, I'll say this. We also know we're not going to play any starters. You know that.
Exactly.
We're not playing starters. We're going to play nothing but, I mean, I don't even know if we're going to play many rookies in our drafted folks. It's going to be practice squad and kind of above. That's about it, so I don't know.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I saw Kenneth Murray's Instagram today, and he's not with a team, or at least he posted that he was not with a team. He was out. He's got a K9 basically like training, company, I guess.
Oh, really?
And
really?
it was
K9 training company. That's interesting.
It makes sense, right? It makes sense, right? So, so basically, he trains dogs to be able to be like protectors or whatever. But he was at a gun range with the dog next to him, and he was like shooting like targets while walking with his dog and everything like that. And I was like, what is going on? I mean, is he with the team? Like, I mean, I was like, that was kind of random. So
well, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of players didn't even travel. Like, what's the point?
Totally possible that they just basically said, hey man, you don't need to be there. This is going to be all rookies. Just do your thing, kind of thing. So
do you think Hightower makes a 53-man roster? Man, I think today's the night to figure it out.
Figure it out.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
He's got to figure out. I mean, the thing is, though, there's a wide receiver 6 slot potentially open. So him or Doss, in my opinion.
Yeah, but again, this kind of is a conversation where bottom line, hey, you may as well get a 4th rounder, build up some depth in your team, and move on. If they made the decision to go with Purdy, which clearly they have, why not do it? It makes me think that Jonathan Taylor's going to be moved, but I don't know. It sounds like the Dolphins want him, but apparently he wants some thick contract. Like he wants some fat money right out of the gate, and that's I don't know.
Yeah. That's a tough thing to be able to say. Like in the running back market, it's tough to be able to pay a guy a ton of money right now.
Big time. Yeah, they're not getting paid. But he's 24, right? I think he's only 24 years old.
Something like that. Very young. Yeah, very young.
Very young.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing about that Trey Lance contract, by the way, or a Trey Lance pickup. Cowboys have an out after this year with Dak Prescott.
Interesting. Okay.
Just putting a little fuel on the fire, boys. Just putting a little fuel on the fire.
That's fuel on the that didn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. We're so deep with talent tonight. Is the Lance Jets look at what we make some important decisions. Let the fringe play. Let the fringe play. We should make a shirt on that. Let the fringe play.
Let the fringe
I like that.
Play.
And it's true, right? Let them do it.
Feed them. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, feed the guys that are trying to be those fringe-based players, the guys that are just on the cusp to be able to make this squad and make a statement. I mean, I still do feel that Easton Stick, they're going to probably play short ball just to get the ball in a lot of guys' hands at this point. Just want to be able to get a rhythm, want to get guys to be able to try to make plays, show out pretty much. So, yeah, I'm in.
Mims does have potential. Interesting conversation around him. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out with him. Yeah. This is funny. I've never heard that before. McDummy. That's a new one, James.
Yeah. I talked to my buddy. He's a big Broncos fan all the time. Yeah. McDoofus, I think, is another one too. Yeah. I mean, dude, dude. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Harbaugh wasn't Bill Belichick as well too, a special teams head coach?
I kept thinking he might have been, man. It's not a very common place that a lot of guys end up bringing in, because the reason why if you have a young quarterback, do you want a special teams guy trying to teach this guy how to be a quarterback in the NFL? Or do you guys want a special teamer that knows how to punt balls and put in punt coverage kind of thing? Like, it's just a very hard transition. Now, once again, you could get an offensive coordinator to really take that over, a defensive coordinator to do whatever, but it's kind of a tough thing. But I mean, it's not saying that there's not anybody in the NFL that was a special teams guy that went to a head coach, but I'll say Harbaugh has the pedigree. So it made sense.
Yeah, good point. And then again, this is good. Bolt Lightning, who's running back 4. Now, good question. Are we even going to keep 4 running backs, right? Because you technically have Xander Horvath. He's a fullback, but or does Dotson make the team? Then that would be 5 running backs technically. Well, 4 running backs and then so I don't know. It's tough, right? I mean, it's interesting to see how that plays out. I'll say this game right now is going to be the deciding factor, right? They have to go out and prove it. They have to prove that they deserve a spot, are willing to be there. I don't know. And Doss is big. I like Doss. He's looked really good. But again, this team clearly likes very tall wide receivers. The Bolt Bros would not be a wide receiver for this team, right, folks? We're not 6'3", 6'4". Anyways, that's
why we're playing pickleball. Size or height does not really matter too much in that game.
How about skill? We got skills, guys. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I'm just gonna say
skills, baby.
Yeah. Let's go. So LOD says Dotson's not going to make the 53-man roster. Well, you got to wonder though. Sometimes it's playing keep away as well too. You don't want a guy to go to another team, but again, I will say this: the coaching staff here specifically doesn't want to say sorry, we don't want you, but we don't want anybody else to have you as well too. They want the ability for these guys to have a future and continue playing football. So, lot to discuss there. Absolutely. I think we've gotten through most of the comments at this moment. But maybe we could wrap up now. What are your thoughts there, James? And then we can just go.
So we're preseason game number 3. We are almost the finish line, guys, till the games matter. And I'm looking forward to it just be at week 1. We will all be there, all 3 Bolt Bros. I know Kyle's not even here right now, but all 3 Bolt Bros will be there at week 1 at SoFi against Dolphins. Let me pluralize that a little bit. And I'm excited just to be able to get the season going. And I'm excited to be able to see the full potential of this team on week 1. Reminds me a little bit of the Raiders last year in week 1 and how we just looked so dominant with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack on the edge. I mean, that was just a fun time to watch. And so look, right now we got a healthy squad, and that's big for us to go into week 1. Now we got to keep that continuously going. And hey, let's just get past this game, best of luck to all the Chargers players out there trying to make this squad. We'll be watching and rooting for you guys, and we're looking forward to see what you can do on this 53-man squad plus practice squad for us.
Yeah, I do think also I am a big believer, like I said, to not play starters. And again, I would rather go into week 1 a bit rusty than banged up. Losing somebody, losing an Allen, losing a Williams, or losing anybody that, I mean, of course, Jalen Guyton's still out at this moment, right? But but my point is, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I'd rather go in week 1 in a game that matters. That's where our players at. And I'm okay with them being a little rusty. I'm fine with that. I just want to see people go healthy. So we'll lightning round some of these questions. Stick all 4 quarters. Could be, who knows? I would say probably not. Moa over Gerard Clark. I would say Clark probably, just because I think he brings something different.
More size.
Look, I think it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out, right? I mean, look, bottom line, this is an opportunity for us to look at rookies and see what's going to happen with rookies moving forward. It's a depth conversation and where we go, right? Why I see Josh Mahomes playing the preseason run of the year, and why don't you just sit that with me? I feel like they have to have a head start, in my opinion. Again, I think it's the argument about getting somebody hurt, and I get it. I totally get it. I understand, but it's a violent sport they're playing, folks, right? And, Herbert's the most expensive quarterback in the league right now. So you don't want to see his ass get hurt, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's a conversation this coaching staff's done a lot. So,
just to add that, and I know we're about to end here, but the
Perfect
thing about it is there's a guy. Yeah, exactly. GTR. I'm a fan of it, but I understand the reason why not doing it. So there's a lot of undrafted guys out there hungry to make a play, to be able to find a way to make that check and get on this 53-man squad. Some of these guys are just going to potentially dive at some dude's knee or whatnot, or rip some dude's leg to pull out his hip or something like that. That's the whole stressful situation about, playing your starters. I mean, there's hungry guys that want to make plays, and that could end up injuring somebody. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a long-term debate, and I go back and forth on it, but I guess it would just break my heart to have like Keenan Allen have a season-ending injury or any. I can name Austin Eckler or anybody, right? So again, the hope is H4 that they are in condition, right? And again, Asante Samuel said as much, right? They practice hard and they are doing everything they can to be ready to go. So, guys, as always, I think we're here to support you. Again, we are not going to do a post-game show tonight. We're going to do it tomorrow because it's going to be so late for everybody. So we're going to go sometime tomorrow. I'm not sure what time that is, but check us out tomorrow. Also, we are going to do a 53-man roster review once it's released, and we're also going to do a practice squad live as well. So 53-man roster and practice squad. Once those are all done, we're going to have a separate live video for each one of those, and we're going to discuss what's next and go from there. So, okay, that's a lot, guys. I know.
Looking forward to the game tonight, guys. And once again, I always appreciate it, guys. Like, subscribes to the channel if you have not. We appreciate all your support, guys. I'll hit the button here, Andrew.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's get out of here. Bolt Bros.
Let's go.